Welcome to this breakdown on nitrates and how they relate to endurance and strength training. We're going to explore what happens when you drink beetroot juice or take nitrate supplements and whether they can help you go farther or lift heavier. Rather than repeating marketing hype, we will walk through the science of how dietary nitrate is converted to nitric oxide and what the research says about endurance and strength outcomes. By the end of this session, you should have a clear picture of when nitrates help, when they do not, and how they compare with more established supplements like creatine. You might have seen claims that beetroot shots will supercharge your endurance while doing nothing for your one repetition max. This question sets the stage for our discussion. Many athletes are curious whether a simple juice can make them run longer or cycle harder without adding plates to their squat. In the next sections, we will separate genuine findings from wishful thinking, focusing on what controlled studies tell us about endurance gains and the lack of significant strength improvement when using nitrates. It is helpful to distinguish the physiological demands of endurance and strength before examining nitrate supplementation. Endurance sports revolve around oxygen efficiency, time to exhaustion, and exercise economy. Strength sports, on the other hand, center on maximal force, explosive power, and single repetition efforts. Supplement strategies reflect these differences. Creatine remains the proven king of strength because it supports rapid ATP resynthesis during heavy lifting. Nitrates influence vascular and metabolic pathways rather than ATP stores, so we need to ask where they fit into each domain without assuming they will match the performance benefits of creatine. When you consume nitrate from food or supplements, it does not immediately act in your muscles. The nitrate ion first encounters bacteria living on your tongue. These bacteria convert nitrate into nitrate. After you swallow, nitrate circulates and under conditions of low oxygen or low pH, is further reduced to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the gas that relaxes blood vessels and signals downstream effects. Without healthy oral bacteria, this conversion is limited. Understanding this pathway helps explain why timing, oral hygiene, and dosing matter for nitrate supplementation. Athletes are interested in nitric oxide because it widens blood vessels, improving blood flow and nutrient delivery. Better circulation can reduce the amount of oxygen your muscles need to perform submaximal work, so the same pace feels easier. Nitric oxide also supports muscle contractile efficiency and delays the onset of fatigue by improving mitochondrial function. These physiological benefits translate into improved endurance performance in many studies, making nitrate-driven nitric oxide production appealing for runners, cyclists, and high-intensity athletes. The mouth is not just the entry point for food, it is a crucial step in the nitrate to nitric oxide conversion. The friendly bacteria on your tongue are responsible for reducing nitrate to nitrite. Using antibacterial mouthwash or taking certain antibiotics can decrease these bacteria and impair your ability to produce nitrate. Peak nitrate levels in the blood are typically reached around 2 to 3 hours after ingesting nitrate. To maximize the effects of your supplement, avoid mouthwash near your dose and plan your timing so that nitrate peaks when you start your training or event. Athletes turn to nitrate supplements with 3 primary goals. The first is to improve exercise economy, or the ability to perform the same work with less oxygen. The second is to delay fatigue and extend the time to exhaustion so they can maintain a given intensity for longer. The third potential benefit is in high intensity and team sports where repeated sprints and quick recoveries are key. Improved blood flow may help with those bursts. Throughout this presentation, we will assess how well nitrates deliver on each of these promises. Research consistently shows that nitrate supplementation can reduce the oxygen cost of submaximal exercise by roughly 5%. This means your body needs less oxygen to produce the same amount of power, which improves mechanical efficiency. In practice, this allows athletes to sustain a given workload longer before fatigue sets in. Recreational and moderately trained athletes tend to see the biggest improvements because they have more room for efficiency gains than elite performers who are already highly economical. Several controlled studies report improvements in time to exhaustion in the range of 16 to 25% after taking nitrate. With a proper protocol, athletes can exercise at a given intensity for much longer before they are forced to stop. However, these improvements vary greatly depending on the individual's fitness level, the exact dose, and the timing protocol. People with lower baseline nitric oxide availability often benefit more than highly trained athletes, so results should be interpreted in context. While nitrates clearly improve efficiency and time to exhaustion, their effects on endurance capacity and race-style time trials are modest. Some studies find small increases in the distance traveled or work completed, but many show no significant change. Only about 1/3 of time trial studies demonstrate a meaningful benefit. This suggests that nitrates can support training and longer efforts, but should not be expected to single-handedly deliver large jumps in race performance. The overall picture for endurance is positive but measured. Nitrates can help you use less oxygen and sustain activity longer, leading to modest but real improvements in endurance performance. These gains are most noticeable for recreational athletes. They will not replace diligent training and a balanced diet, but they can provide an edge when combined with a solid program. Manage your expectations and treat nitrates as a supportive tool rather than a miracle solution. Endurance sports rely heavily on efficient oxygen delivery and utilization. By reducing the oxygen cost at moderate intensities, nitrates can boost efficiency throughout a long event. These oxygen savings accumulate over time and translate into a delay in fatigue. Because strength performance depends more on phosphagen energy systems and neuromuscular factors, the oxygen economy benefits of nitrates do not have the same impact on heavy lifting. That is why endurance athletes respond more robustly to nitrate supplementation. The largest reductions in oxygen consumption with nitrates occur at moderate intensities between roughly 40 and 70% of your maximal oxygen uptake. At these levels, your muscles rely heavily on aerobic metabolism and thus benefit from improved efficiency. In contrast, all-out sprints and maximal lifts rely on anaerobic energy pathways and do not show the same response. Elite athletes who are already highly efficient have less room for improvement and therefore see smaller benefits than recreational athletes. Nitrate supplementation allows muscles to rely less on anaerobic metabolism at a given workload. This slows the accumulation of fatigue-related metabolites and delays the need to switch to less efficient energy systems. Increased blood flow may also aid nutrient delivery and waste removal, helping you feel fresher during prolonged efforts. Even so, time to exhaustion will always depend on your conditioning, pacing, and mental resilience. Nitrates can extend the limit, but cannot replace fundamental endurance training. Highly trained endurance athletes already have elevated nitric oxide production and highly efficient mitochondria. As a result, the ergogenic gains they see from nitrates are smaller and more variable than those seen in recreational athletes. Some evidence suggests benefits for events lasting roughly 10 to 17 minutes, but the magnitude of improvement is modest. For races longer than that, we still need more data. Elite performers should temper expectations and consider whether other nutritional strategies offer a better return. When we shift to strength outcomes, the evidence for nitrate supplementation is sparse and inconsistent. Only a handful of studies have tested maximal strength, and those that have found little to no improvement in one repetition maximum. Nitrates do not appear to enhance maximal force production or muscle hypertrophy. Compared to creatine and structured resistance training, nitrates contribute very little to strength gains. If your priority is adding weight to the bar, creatine remains the more effective choice. Creatine builds strength by increasing phosphocreatine stores and supporting rapid ATP resynthesis during heavy lifts. Nitrates work through a different mechanism by improving blood flow and oxygen efficiency. While that is beneficial for sustained efforts, it does not address the ATP demand of a maximal lift. Combining creatine and nitrates might seem attractive, but current research does not show a clear synergistic effect for pure strength. Do not expect nitrates to replace traditional strength aids. A few experiments have observed slightly improved muscle power and rate of force development during repeated sprint or explosive tasks after nitrate supplementation. However, when averaged across studies, these effects are small and inconsistent. There is no evidence that nitrates increase the amount of weight you can lift in maximal movements like squats or bench presses. Athletes seeking explosive power would be better served by plyometric training, proper rest, and proven supplements rather than relying on nitrates. When we put all the evidence side by side, a clear pattern emerges. Nitrates offer moderate benefits for endurance measures such as oxygen economy and time to exhaustion, but they deliver little to no improvement in maximal strength or power. This dichotomy reflects the different energy systems and physiological demands of endurance and strength. As you evaluate supplements, consider whether your goals align with the performance domains in which nitrates are most effective. If you decide to experiment with nitrates, dosing and timing are key. Most studies use doses around 6 to 8 millimoles of nitrate, which translates to roughly 350 to 500 milligrams. Consume your dose 2 to 3 hours before your workout or competition to allow nitrate to be converted into nitrate and then nitric oxide. Use products that state their nitrate content, such as beetroot shots, powders, or gummies. Whole vegetables are healthful but vary widely in nitrate concentration, making it harder to hit a specific target. Common sources of dietary nitrate include concentrated beetroot juice, shots, leafy greens like spinach and arugula, celery and rocket. There are also nitrate standardized powders and chewable gummies that provide a measured amount. When relying on whole foods, be mindful that factors like soil quality and storage affect nitrate levels. If you prefer to juice beets at home, remember the dose may not match what has been studied. Using products with a known nitrate content ensures more predictable results. To get the most from nitrate supplementation, avoid antibacterial mouthwash and heavily chlorinated water around the time you take your dose because these can reduce beneficial oral bacteria. Taking nitrates with a small amount of carbohydrate may support uptake and provide additional fuel for your session, though individual tolerance varies. Above all, test your protocol during training rather than on race day. This will allow you to adjust timing and dose based on how your body responds. The people most likely to benefit from nitrate supplements are endurance athletes like runners and cyclists, as well as hybrid and high-intensity interval training athletes who combine aerobic and anaerobic demands. Recreational athletes looking for small performance gains may also notice improvements. Nitrates are less useful for pure powerlifters hoping to add weight to a 1 repetition maximum. Those already using creatine for strength should not expect nitrates to make a major difference in that domain. Managing expectations is crucial. Nitrates can lower blood pressure, which is desirable for some but risky for people with hypotension or those taking blood pressure medication. They should not be combined with nitrate-based drugs or phosphodiesterase type 5 inhibitors, because the combination can cause dangerous drops in blood pressure. Beetroot products can turn your urine or stools pink, which is harmless but surprising. Due to the high potassium and oxalate content of beets, individuals with kidney disease or a history of kidney stones should consult a healthcare professional. Pregnant and breastfeeding people should also seek medical advice before supplementing. Start with a modest dose and monitor your response. It is a myth that nitrates dramatically increase your 1 repetition max or serve as a direct replacement for creatine. The fact is that nitrates improve oxygen efficiency and endurance. They support longer efforts rather than heavier lifts. Another myth is that beetroot juice works the same for everyone. In reality, responses vary based on factors like training status, baseline nitric oxide levels, and dosage. Recognizing these truths helps you make informed decisions about whether and how to use nitrate supplements. The evidence shows that nitrates can boost endurance through improved oxygen economy and delayed fatigue. Their impact on maximal strength is minimal, so they will not replace creatine or structured strength training. Use nitrates as part of a broader strategy to support endurance and repeated efforts. Combine them with proven practices like progressive overload, adequate recovery, balanced nutrition, and proper hydration to maximize your performance. There are a few key points to remember. Evidence-based decision-making matters. Do not be swayed by hype or anecdote. A typical effective dose is around 6 to 8 millimoles taken 2 to 3 hours before your event. Pair nitrates with a solid training plan, balanced nutrition, creatine, and hydration. Test your protocol during training and monitor your response. Adjust as needed and keep in mind that supplements work best when your foundation is strong. Finish with a reminder that success in sport depends on more than any single supplement. Train hard, eat smart, and supplement wisely. Build your foundation with proven aids like creatine and disciplined training. Use nitrates judiciously to help edge out fatigue during endurance efforts. Combining science-based strategies with consistent effort will yield the best results.